This is for final hearing on contest on a divorce, is that correct?
It's just that this case has gone around and around, and we are now here. Our most recent order, as you can see, which hasn't been signed yet, but that was announced in court, is that father has supervised visits right now on Thursdays and Sundays from 5 to 7. So we'll be looking at whether we can change to that today, and then trying to separate and assign assets that for a home and a few reimbursements that the wife has that she hasn't paid to maintain that home.
Right. Mr. Butler, you're representing yourself. Do you understand we're here for a final hearing on all those issues?
Sir, I do understand.
All right. Then Ms. Brady, if you will call your first witness.
So you've been married since 2018, you have a 6-year-old child together, and you live where?
In Dry Creek Road.
And that's a home that you owned together?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're,
Let's let him work on it. Go ahead.
Say something.
No. There we go.
Hello.
oh, there we go.
Good. Okay.
Okay, so lean into it though, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So this is the December 2022 incident, and you were saying that you were going to go to a community event and it devolved into some arguing, and then what?
So when we get home, I'm exhausted. I'm thinking that I'm just going to go to bed. And Rob was in Ron's room. I think they were watching TV. And then he came in there and he told me to get out of the bed. And I said no. And so then he went to the garage and got the chainsaw and brought it into the bedroom. He didn't turn it on, but obviously intimidated me with it. And so at that point, we're yelling, we're arguing. It started out with him punching the TV in the bedroom. So he smashed the TV. And then the arguments kept escalating. And a couple different times he held me down on the bed with his hands on my face, and he dug his thumbs into my eyeballs, like into my eye sockets, and was spitting in my face over and over again. He did that at least 2 different times. At one point, when I was out of the bed and we were arguing, he picked me up by my throat and he squeezed it so tight that I felt my trachea compressing, but I did not lose consciousness. We kept arguing. At one point, he threw a full glass of water on me, and at that point, I was so like terrorized and in shock. I thought he had threw a glass of vodka on me because he told me that he was going to burn the witch. And then another time when he was holding me down and he was digging into my eyes and spitting in my face, I was flailing my arms to try to get him off of me. And I must have brushed his face with my fingers. And when I did that, he took his left closed fist and punched me in my right jawline. So I started screaming and crying. And at that point, I heard Ron, and this was probably around midnight. So I ran to check on him, and I threw the dog in the room with him, and I told him to stay in his room. And we kept arguing. It was in the middle of the night, and finally, I think we were just both exhausted. And he tied a belt around my waist and held it and held me in the bed. So that way, he said I couldn't call the police to report what had happened. So the next morning, he got up and he went to work, and he had hid my phone and my keys, but I found them. Or I didn't find my keys, but I found my phone. So I called my mom, who lives 4 hours away, and she drove here to pick me and Ryan up.
Okay, so Your Honor, can I approach the witness?
You may.
Identify what I've handed you.
That is my right arm with bruises on it where he was holding me and grabbing me.
Okay, and keep just kind of, those are all photos.
Yes.
And when were those photos taken?
These photos were taken, I believe, the day after the incident had occurred.
And do they represent what your body looked like at that time?
Yes.
And who caused those injuries to your body? All right, Your Honor, I'd ask that these be made an exhibit.
Has Mr. Butler seen these?
He has. And then, so that, on that day, you didn't call the police about that incident. But eventually you did call the police. Can you explain how that came to be?
So I had came back home, so the kids could all be together for Christmas. Rob told me that he was gonna go to rehab because he had been drinking that night. But we continued to argue, and I had told him before work, we were both up early for work, that I was
Welcome.
gonna take my son to my mom's to get away from him, and he threatened me with child abduction if I did that. So I knew that I needed to get that incident on record. So I went to the sheriff's department, I filed a police report, and they issued a warrant for his arrest.
Your Honor, can I approach the witness?
You know,
Oh.
Can you identify what you have in your hand?
This is the police report
From what
from
day?
the, January the 17th of 2023 is when I filed the report.
And what was he charged with? What are those two warrants for?
Aggravated assault and, false imprisonment.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit these certified copies of those arrest warrants as Exhibit 2, please.
Exhibit 2.
So that day he was arrested. And what eventually happened with those cases?
So we went to court, I believe it was in June. The DA wanted to press charges, but at that point we were trying to reconcile. So I told her I did not want to press charges. So she, court ordered anger management classes.
And then those were, how were they disposed? Was it a guilty plea or what was the result of that? Was it set out for some amount of time?
Yes, it was for a year's time that there would be no additional misconduct, basically,
And then what would happen after 1 year?
that it would be dropped.
Okay, so then less than a week later, there was an incident in Florida. Can you describe that for the court?
So we took a beach trip with my son and his half brother. The old,
Before or after this episode that led to the warrant?
this is after.
And I'm sorry,
You stayed together?
Yes,
Why?
I wanted my family.
and so the beach incident occurred 1 week after court.
Correct. So that was June of 2023, about 6 months after the initial incident.
Okay, and then can you describe what happened at that, during that trip?
So shortly after getting there, I wanted to go to the grocery store. We stayed in a condo for a long weekend, and the boys were playing a game on my phone. So I asked Rob if I could use his phone to just write the grocery list in the notes. So when I was going through his note, or I just opened it and I saw a name of someone that I worked with that I don't, at the time I was working in a doctor's office. I had a lot of different surgeons and doctors texting me about referrals and cases and things. And these were people that I didn't really talk about. It kind of piqued my interest. So I looked, and there was a lot of information about dates and places I was and just things that he shouldn't know. So Rob, admitted that he had hired a private investigator to follow me. And I was not mad about it. I was just kind of in shock. But he got really agitated that I found out about it. And, he started drinking, and it was an absolute nightmare. I couldn't leave. He had the truck keys, and the boys were little, so I couldn't go anywhere. So he would leave in the morning and be gone all day, and verbally beat me to death.
So
Extremely verbally aggressive.
then after that, you still stayed with him as the court acknowledged or pointed out, and that continued, or that type of relationship continued for about a year. Is that right?
Yes.
And then in May of 2024, what happened? Do you remember an event that happened in May of 2024?
So we had all of the children. He has two older children from a previous relationship, and it was Saturday night, and he was really irritable. He snapped at the kids, and it was the night before Mother's Day. And just jokingly, I said, I know what I want for Mother's Day. I just want a nice family dinner together. And he got mad, so he stormed off, and we were fighting that night. And then the next morning, I woke up before everybody else. I made breakfast, getting ready for church. I When he woke up, I tried to talk to him, but he was still agitated. And so I just wanted to be by myself for a minute. So I walked up into the woods back behind our house. But then I saw him get in the truck and start driving up and down the road. And I knew he was going to be mad. And I didn't want the kids to be there alone and be scared. So I came back down, and he took Bailey and Corey. He called me a lying bitch right in front of them. Left with them. He was gone all day long. And then he came back that evening, kind of gave me a half-hearted apology. I didn't really acknowledge him. I didn't want to talk or argue anymore. So then he left on his motorcycle and was gone for a couple more hours. And then when he came back, it was obvious to me he had been drinking. He was very mean, followed me around the house, insulting me, verbally assaulting me. And it escalated to a point where he was taunting me so much that I just kind of lost it. And I grabbed his shirt and I yanked on it, and it ripped some. And then he starts laughing, saying that I'm going to be the one that goes to jail now. And, that he's going to get Ron taken away from me. And so he threatens to call the police, and I kind of panicked. So I called my dad and told him about what was going on. Well, my dad was concerned for me, so he also called the police. So when they came out to our house, Rob made up a story about wrecking his motorcycle. But then the police called me outside and said that they had got a secondary call about a domestic dispute. And I told them, it was a verbal argument, that it's nothing new, it's just has been going on. And basically they asked Rob for his ID for the investigation, and he refused to cooperate. And they smelled alcohol on him, so they took him to jail.
And at that point, he was still on bond for the original charge from June.
Correct.
And so he was charged on that day with criminal charges. And do you know what those were?
I violation of a order, I believe, and failure to comply with the police investigation, I believe it was.
And those charges, we don't have those certified copies available. Do you know the disposition of that and why certified copies may not be available?
I believe it was dropped.
That close enough, it'll be fine. So, okay, so at this point, Mr. Butler was still in the home, and you had filed for divorce. And so tell the court what happened June 15th of 2024.
So the night before that, we had made plans to take Ron to Montgomery Bell for like a beach day. And he had asked me to perform some sexual favors, and I didn't want to, and he got mad. So he slept in the other room, and then he slept in that morning. I got up early. I'm packing the cooler. I'm making sandwiches. I'm doing all these things. And I asked him if he wanted to go, and he said no. And I said, okay, well then I'm going to go to the Cheatham Lock and Dam with my friend who also has a son Ron's age. And so I'm loading up the car. I'm trying to get ready to go. Well, I'm in the house. Now I'm trying to get Ron ready, and he barricades me into the bathroom, and he's arguing with me and telling me I'm not going anywhere. I can't take his son anywhere. And finally he lets me out of the bathroom, and I'm trying to hurry with Ron out of the house. We get down to my car. He starts throwing the cooler and everything that I had packed in the trunk out of the car. And then he picks Ron up and starts running away with him. Ron screaming and reaching for me. And so I got in my car and I locked the doors and I called the police. And when he realized what I was doing, he sat Ron down and he left in his vehicle. The police came out. They basically said that because no physical altercation occurred, they weren't going to file a report.
And that same type of event occurred again a couple weeks later. So this is 2024. We've had the event in May. Now we have the event in June, and then there's another event on July 2nd. And at this point, did the district attorney do something to change the circumstances?
Yeah, so I was unaware of it at the time, but that was the night before he had court basically to review the year review. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. The DA's office did reach out to me and asked me how things had been going. And I told them that it was not good, that I had filed for divorce, that he's in the home, that he's terrorizing me. My family lives 4 hours away. I didn't have anywhere to go. I was looking into Airbnbs at the time just to try to get away from him. And anyway, so the night before he had court, he was extremely agitated. He followed me through the house. He called me very vulgar names right in front of our son.
Let me interrupt real quick. Did the DA's office file a motion to modify the bond
On
conditions?
July 3rd, they did.
Okay, and so after that, then what happened? Was that motion granted? And if so, what were the changes?
Yes, it was granted and he was court ordered out of the house.
Okay, so then he's no longer now living in the home. This is July 3rd, about a year ago of 2024. July 3rd, 2024, he's out of the house. So then we're moving forward and we're at August the 10th. Can you tell the court about what happened at an event related to a birthday party?
So Ryan and I had went to a birthday party of someone I used to work with, and we got home maybe around 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was a Saturday night. And shortly after we got home, Rob came to the back door of the house and knocked on the door. So I answered it and I basically asked him to leave. And after a few minutes of kind of going back and forth, he left.
And were the police involved with that?
No,
So we don't have an event that happened on August 10th that resulted in arrest charges.
Well-
Your Honor, can I approach the witness?
Sure.
Can I approach the
Yes.
witness? Look at those and tell the court what happened that led to those charges.
so there were two different incidents. So I didn't call the police on the first incident on August the 10th. On August the 15th, that was Ryan's first day of school, and I had made plans for us to celebrate with dinner with his half brother and sister in Thompson Station. So when we got home, shortly after when we got home, he was waiting for me on the back porch, basically. And when I went to unlock the door, I always just lock the deadbolt, but the other door was locked. So I instantly knew he had been in the house. And I went into the bathroom because I needed to get Ron a shower, and he had smashed the bathroom vanity.
And then what happened?
So I told him that I knew he had been in the house and that he needed to leave. And so he left. So then the next morning, I called Candy at the DA's office, and I went to the DA's office and filed a police report.
And were there new criminal charges that resulted from all of this?
Yes, aggravated stalking.
All right. And so besides aggravated stalking, what else do you have?
It was aggravated stalking and violation of a court order, I believe.
That goes fine.
I think that's what it was, violation of court order and violation of the granting bail.
Keep going. What about electronic?
So at the time, when I was telling Candy about what happened, she said, I bet you he is tracking you somehow, because how else is he knowing exactly when you're getting home to pop up at your back door? So she said, go down to King Automotive and tell them that the DA's office sent you. And so I did, and they found a cell phone hid in my trunk.
Your Honor,
Okay, what-
They found a cell phone hid in my trunk.
Your Honor, I have certified copies of the stalking charge and the violation of order granting bail. I think the others have been expunged, so these are the ones that we have available from the August 10th event. And I would ask that those be admitted into evidence. Okay, so now we have all of these different charges going on at one time and all of this chaos throughout May, June, and July and into August. And at this point, again, he's out of the home, but there's still a lot of activity and interactions between you. So can you tell the court what happened with all of these charges? Do you remember what happened?
So whenever the warrant was issued, I'm assuming went to Florida because he was on the run for about a month. And then he appeared, it was right before Labor Day. It was in September. He appeared to his regular court hearing and turned himself in that day.
And he has some convictions that have resulted because of that. And then what were the result, or how did the DA choose to handle those convictions?
So he was found guilty and he got 2 years of supervised probation with drug tests and 6 months wearing a GPS tracking device.
Okay, so now so he's on probation, he has GPS and he has drug testing at this point from September until March. And now that all of those things have calmed down and things are kind of smoothing out, and there's a thing that we're going to have to talk about that you're not going to want to talk about, but I know that this has potentially been used against you, so we're just going to acknowledge it. But there was a brief reconnection between you and Mr. Butler. Can you describe when that happened and how long it lasted?
Yes. So I would like to preface that by saying that my grandmother, who I'm very close with, passed away suddenly in October. And I was very devastated from that. My family all lives 4 hours away, so I am out here alone with my son. It was around the middle of November that I did reach out to Mr. Butler, and we did reconnect. It was about a month and a half, 2 months before the original behavior began to surface again, and I distanced myself from him.
Okay, so let's talk about Mr. Butler's contact with Ryan during all of this. From July 3rd, when he left out of the home, until December of 2024, how much parenting time did he exercise with Ryan during all of that?
None, except for the reconnection, and I did let him see Ryan during that time.
Okay, so but effectively from July until December, he had essentially no real significant parenting time.
No.
Then in December 2024, we entered into an agreed order for some parenting time. What was Mr. Butler's parenting schedule at that point?
It was every other weekend. So he would pick up from school on Friday after school and then return to school Monday morning. And then on the alternate week, he had Wednesday after school until Friday morning drop off at school.
So that's about 8 days a month at that point.
Yes.
Can you repeat those schedules, please?
Yes, sir. So on his weekends, he would pick up from school on Friday afternoon and return Ron to school on Monday morning. And then the following week was Wednesday after school, returning to school Friday morning. We had done that in order to limit the contact between me and Mr. Butler.
All right, thank you.
All right, so now this schedule has had some issues. We've already testified about that at another hearing, but we're going to recap that briefly for this court today. There's talk about, like I said, we're going to try to keep it to the point because we got a lot of ground to cover. January 2025, there was a snowstorm issue. Can you explain that to the court?
Yes. So it was the big snowstorm. I don't know if you guys remember it, but they had been predicting it all week. I knew that school was going to be closed. I had to work. I'm a nurse. And so I had been talking to Mr. Butler. I mean, we were, agreeable at the time. And I asked him if he could keep Ryan so that way Ryan had somewhere to be and I could go to work. And he said yes. That was on Wednesday at Ryan's little ninja class. Well, then later that evening, he called me. We got into an argument. The next day, I'm at work. I'm texting him because I didn't know when the snowstorm was going to start on Friday morning. So I wanted Ron to be where he was going to be Thursday night. And so I texted Rob all day Thursday. He didn't respond. And finally, I said, if you can't keep him, I need to know so I can make other arrangements. And the only thing he said was, I can't. So I reached out to the other children's mother who lives in Thompson Station. She said she could watch Ryan. I drove Ryan down there Thursday evening. Then I came back so I could go to work Monday morning.
Okay, and would that have been the father's weekend or your weekend?
I think it was his weekend, but we were also in this weird limbo where the GPS tracker, they hadn't cleared the parameter zones for the school yet. And so even if school had been in session, that was going to be a little bit tricky on how Rob could obtain Ryan.
And this, though, is an example of your all's inability to communicate effectively.
Correct, because Friday morning around 9 a.m., Rob starts texting me saying, when are you going to bring Ryan over? And I said, I told you it was already, the roads were already bad at that point. I said, I've made other arrangements. So he got really mad. He found out that Ryan was at Aubyn's house, the other children's mother. And when he did, he said that he was coming to get Ryan and that he was going to bring the police if he had to. And this was in the middle of a very bad snowstorm.
And then on March the 7th, can you tell the court about the father picking up or not picking Ryan up from daycare?
On March the 7th,
Uh-huh.
that was the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the week prior, he had asked me if we could switch weekends because his mom lives in Florida and was having a procedure. So I had agreed. But then that week, that was technically his Wednesday through Friday, when I said he could have him that weekend. Well, he picked Ron up from school on Wednesday and then he blocked me. I waited a day and a half before I called the police to do a well check because I didn't know that he was going to be getting him at that time. And we had already verbally agreed. I made it very clear to him, I have a hair appointment on Friday after work. You are going to be able to get Ryan. And he said, yes, but then he did not pick Ryan up on that Friday. So I had to pay a late fee and I had to get the babysitter to go and get him after the daycare had closed.
Okay, so he had an opportunity to pick him up from daycare and it should have been his time to pick him up and he did not do that.
Correct.
And then maybe a week later, there's an incident at Ryan's gymnastics class or whatever that program is. Can you explain that to the court?
So I feel like it was just really a gateway for him to harass me because you're sitting there, and so he's just, it's the same insults, it's the same argument. And he had just recently had his tracking device taken off and he told me that he was allowed back in the house now.
And so what did you do because of that conversation?
I felt very scared, and so I contacted Candy at the DA's office.
And you did what? You filed what?
Filed for a restraining order.
And that was granted.
Yes.
And then about a week later, on March 28th, 2025, was there another incident where the father did not pick up your child from school?
Yes, it was Rob's normal regular weekend, and I was contacted by the daycare at about 5:30 p.m. They close at 6. And so I went to pick Ryan up. I got there maybe 10 till 6.
And then on April 1st, this is on a Tuesday, is there an incident that that we need to tell the court about?
So that was a Tuesday. Again, that off week, it was Wednesday through Friday. This was a Tuesday. I show up at daycare. They said that Rob had picked him up. So I contacted Margaret and then she contacted Robert and he brought Ryan back to the daycare.
And what did you find out as the reason why he picked him up on a Tuesday?
Because he didn't know what day of the week it was.
And there would be no reason for him to pick him up on a Tuesday.
Correct.
And then can you tell the court what happened on April 14th at Ryan's school?
I was at work and it was maybe 9 a.m. I got a message through the school app from Ron's teacher that said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that Ron was dropped off behind the school. The doors were locked. There were no workers outside, and Ryan was crying and went up to the cafeteria door, and luckily there was still someone in there. They saw Ron. There was nobody outside, and they brought Ron in, and she said that Ron was very upset.
And then let's talk about May 1st, 2025. This is the day that you got a call from a neighbor. Can you explain to the court what happened on that day?
So that day, so now the daycare is kind of trigger happy, and anytime it gets close to 5:30, they're letting me know that Ron's still there when it's Rob's time. So they had told me, so I got in my vehicle. The daycare is about 15 minutes away, and then I almost got there, but then they messaged me and said, oh, he just picked him up. So, okay, so I turned around and came home. So then start getting all these random phone calls. And I answered one of them and I did recognize that it was his voice,
Whose voice?
Robert's voice, pretending to be from a talent agency looking for Aaron Butler. So I hung up. And then later I got a call and Ryan had left me a voicemail, but it was odd because Ryan said, "What did you say?" Like he was being coached on what to say. Again, I didn't do anything because I knew that he was just trying to. And so then a little bit later, my neighbor called me and she said, "You need to come and get Ryan. Rob is over here and he's very sick and he needs to go to the emergency room." So I walked over to the neighbors. Rob was on the back porch, pacing back and forth, agitated, upset. And I got Ryan out of the vehicle and we walked back to my house.
And that neighbor testified at our previous hearing about that incident.
Yes,
And that resulted in the order that currently stands of supervised visits.
correct.
And then this continued to de-escalate until an event where he appeared at your work. Can you explain that to the court, please?
So I had started a new job, and employees have to park in a certain garage and on a certain level or higher. And I had been parking in the same area for the past 2 days. And so I get to work at the same time for orientation and Rob's car is there. So I panicked. I took a picture of his license plate. At first I called Cheatham County because at this point there's a warrant out for his arrest because he's already violated the order of protection by being at my house the week before. So then they gave me Davidson County's number, and then they gave me St. Thomas's security number. So I called and they came to the scene, but Rob fled from the garage and they didn't catch him.
But ultimately, he was charged in Davidson County as well.
Yes.
And what were those charges?
Violating an order of protection, reckless endangerment, and aggravated stalking.
And as far as you know, what has happened with those charges?
They've been bound over.
Was there one, though, that he was found guilty of?
Yes.
Which one do you remember?
Violating the order of protection.
And what was the result of that guilty finding?
10 days in jail.
And when did he serve those 10 days? You remember?
That was in June.
Okay, so
It was in
sometime,
between the two court hearings about Ryan.
so sometime in June, he had to serve 10 days for the violation of order of protection. The aggravated stalking and reckless have been bound over
Correct.
and are still pending. So that brings us to June 4th, which we've already talked about, that he was at that point given supervised visitation. And then how have those visits gone?
So the first visit, he didn't show up because he didn't think that it had already started yet. And Ron was upset because he was excited to see his dad. The second visit, he was over 30 minutes late. And so at that point, we established a 10-minute grace period before the visit would be canceled. But he did see Ron that time. The third visit, he no-showed. The fourth visit, he no-showed. And then he was in jail. So he missed those visits. And after that, he did start coming to the visits.
Okay, and that started at the end of June, essentially. So
yes.
for a couple of weeks, you've had pretty stable visits.
Yes.
Okay, at the June 4th hearing, what else was Mr. Butler ordered to do?
I had a DCS investigation and a hair follicle drug test.
And as of today, do you have evidence of either of those things being completed?
No.
And then we had another review date on June 30th. Were there any changes to his visitation schedule on the June 30th hearing?
No.
So that brings us to today and what we are going to be doing moving forward. So what are you asking the court to do as far as your divorce? Are you asking to be divorced?
Yes.
And are you asking that to be on the grounds of inappropriate marital conduct?
Yes.
Based on all of the criminal charges of domestic assault, stalking, and all of those things?
Yes.
And are you asking for any contact with him moving forward? With Mr. Butler?
No.
Would you like that to be a part of the court order for a no contact?
Yes.
If he does need to contact you, if he is given parenting time under this court order, would you want any contact to be limited to only during that event, like during that visit, if there's an emergency with Ryan?
Yes.
So what parenting schedule are you asking for the court to make an order of the court today?
If Rob cannot produce the drug test and the DCS investigation, I request that it stick with supervised visits. I would like to transition it from 2 days a week. Still having the same amount of parenting time, but on every other Saturday or Sunday. So like maybe having the whole day. Just because logistically it is a little bit difficult since I work in Nashville. And also I'm trying to move, so I won't be in Cheatham County, hopefully.
Okay, and so you're asking the court to clarify that you want his parenting time, if any, to be every other weekend rather than the 2 hours every weekend that we have right now.
Yeah.
Even if it's an extended amount of time on the every other weekend, so then you have some time that you can do things on the weekend.
Yes.
And your family lives where?
In East Tennessee, halfway in between Knoxville and the Tri-Cities, so
And-
4 hours away.
And so if you were gonna go visit them, you'd obviously need to do that over a weekend.
Correct.
And this current schedule wouldn't allow for you to do that.
Correct.
And why do you think supervised visits are appropriate?
Because I don't know that he can provide a safe and stable environment for Ryan.
And do you remember at the last hearing that we had, what he testified to about his living situation?
He did produce an address.
And did he know the owners of the home?
No,
Did he know how much his rent was?
no,
Did he know how much his utilities were gonna be?
no.
So you have questions about where he may be living.
Correct.
All right, so then I'm gonna ask a couple of questions about your home. Who lives in your home?
Ryan and I,
And does Ryan have siblings?
yes.
And who are they?
Bailey and Corey. Bailey is 10, Corey is 8. They're half siblings
And are they half siblings through you or Mr. Butler?
through Mr. Butler.
And does he have contact with those siblings?
Yes.
And how does that happen?
Aubin and I, the children's mother, and I make sure that get the kids together.
So you facilitate those visits?
Yes,
Who has provided the majority of the daily care for Ryan?
I have.
Since when?
At least since he's been ordered out of the house and really before then.
Okay. Do you take Ryan to school and extracurricular events?
Yes.
Where does he attend school?
At Ashland City Elementary.
What extracurricular do you take him to?
He is not doing ninja anymore. He does swim lessons on Monday nights.
If you're named primary residential parent, would you follow the orders of this court?
Yes.
Would you allow Ryan to have safe contact with the father?
Yes.
Have you ever been blocked by the father from contacting Ryan?
Yes.
So now we're going to look at our child support situation. So we finished our parenting plan and all of the backstory, and now we're going to move into just the details that we're trying to lock down. So how much do you earn?
It's a little over 6,000 a month.
Your Honor, can I approach the witness?
You know,
Can you identify what I've handed you?
Yes.
What is this?
This is my most recent, or it's pay stub,
And what's the date of that pay stub?
June the 27th, 2025.
And that covers 2 weeks. And what is your pay rate?
$3,080 biweekly.
And so if you do the math on that, that makes you at about 6673.33 per month. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that this be made an exhibit. Do you know what Mr. Butler currently earns?
I don't.
Do you know what he has earned in the past?
A couple years ago, he worked as a diesel mechanic at YRC. I think he was making around $23 an hour.
And so are you asking the court to impute or make him responsible for $23 an hour as his income for purposes of child support?
Yes.
And that would be $39.56 a month. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And you are asking the court to assign that to him because that's what he's earned in the past and what you believe he's able to earn currently.
Yes. I'm sorry, you said 39.56, 390. Is that what you meant?
$39.56 a month, $3,956 a month.
Oh, it's what his income is. Okay, sorry, misunderstood.
Sure. And let's see. Rob would have handed you.
This is a weekly bill from the extended care at Ryan School.
So the first page, what does it look like that you pay per week for childcare?
When school is in session, $72.44 a week.
And the second page, what does that represent?
This is the summer rates when school is not in session, and it's $113.84 a week.
How many weeks are at the summer rate per year?
I think it's about 10.
And so then the other 42 would be at the 72.44 a week.
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd ask to make this an exhibit. Are you asking the court to give you credit for an average monthly childcare cost of $348.41 based on the average of those two bills?
Yes.
All right, now let's talk about health insurance.
This is biweekly payroll deductions for healthcare.
And it shows how much healthcare would cost for you as an employee or an employee plus child.
Yes.
And based on that piece of paper in front of you, would it be accurate that Ryan's portion of the health insurance premium is $53 a month?
Yes.
Would it be accurate that Ryan's portion of the vision insurance is $2.13 a month?
Yes.
And that Ryan's dental insurance is $10.77 per month?
Yes.
I'd like to make this an exhibit, Your Honor. And are you asking the court to give you credit for those premiums on the child support worksheet?
Yes.
Your Honor, under Rule 1006, I believe, I have prepared a summary of those credits that I would like to admit into evidence at this time.
All right.
Okay, now let's look at our child support arrears calculation. Between July 2024 and the first half of December 2024, how much parenting time did Mr. Butler exercise?
None. Child support worksheet.
How many days are for the father on that child support worksheet?
0.
And if you look at the third page of that, what is the third page titled?
For the third page.
Yeah, the third page right here.
What is it? Total? I'm sorry.
Titled, what is
Oh,
it titled?
Credit worksheet.
And you can see that he has been given credit near the bottom for 3 children that he has with another person.
Yes.
And what does it say as would be on the second page, his total monthly child support obligation based on 0 days? It's at the bottom.
The
Mhm.
$711.
Perfect. Your Honor, I'd ask to make this an exhibit, please. And so are you asking the court to assign him $711 of child support obligation for the period of time from July 2024 for half of the month of December when he had no parenting time?
Yes.
And then between December 17th, 2024, which is when the parenting arrangement started, that he had until May 15th of 2025, how much parenting time did Mr. Butler exercise?
I don't know what the percentage would be.
You had testified earlier that it was about 8 days a month.
Yes,
Does that
yes,
sound right?
8 days a month.
Okay.
Another child support worksheet,
How many days are on there for the father?
85.
And you can see on the third page, again, he's given credit for the out-of-home children.
Yes.
And then on the second page, what would be his obligation for the period of time from December 17th to May 15th?
$627.
Your Honor, I'd ask to make this an exhibit. And you're asking the court then to give you child support arrears and arrears judgment for all of those things that we just detailed, is that right?
Yes,
And then from May 15th until today, how many days of parenting time does he exercise?
none.
So you'd be asking for the $711 to be from May 15th until today as part of the arrears judgment.
Yes.
Your Honor, again, okay, we're getting there. Again, you and Mr. Butler own a home. What's the address of that home?
1411 Dry Creek Road, Ocean
And
City.
what are you,
This, make sure I'm understanding what I was just handed is a child support credit to the mother. Is that
oh,
what-
sorry.
And I think you were trying to give me a summary of, I think I'd already gotten that one.
You have, thank you.
All right,
Okay.
and this would be the next one.
So what are you asking the court to allow to be done with that home?
To sell it.
And are you asking the court to vest you with the singular authority to list it, sell it, execute closing documents and all of that?
Yes.
Why is it that you want that singular authority rather than to coordinate that with Mr. Butler?
Well, first, historically, we've not been able to work together. I have maintained the household over the past year, and the mortgage note is in my name.
And there are also bond conditions and other things that would prevent a coordination anyway.
Correct.
What do you propose to do with things still at the home that may belong to Mr. Butler?
You can have them.
And so how could you coordinate that removal and return to him of any things that are his personal items?
Potentially put them in a storage unit or something like that.
Okay. And what do you propose to do with the proceeds from the sale of the house?
The equity,
Mm-hmm,
divide it.
mm-hmm. And divided in what manner?
Well, 50/50, but I would like credit for what I have paid.
Okay, and so you are asking for some reimbursements from the sale of the home, is that right?
Yes.
Out in front of you.
This is the TVA credit union account. I have a checking account there, but that's how I pay for the mortgage.
And does this document reflect the mortgage payment that you make every month?
Yes,
And how much is that mortgage payment that you make every month?
$1,357.04.
And since July of 2024 until today, who has made that mortgage payment?
I have,
Have you gotten any money or any assistance from Mr. Butler to make that payment?
not for the mortgage, no.
Your Honor, I would ask to make that an exhibit. So you have paid $1,357 for 13 months for a total of $17,641. Are you asking the court to make Mr. Butler responsible for half of that payment?
Yes.
All right. Also, during this time, you paid utilities by yourself, is that correct?
Correct.
One of which is, let me change it.
This is the electric. It's a year's overview of payments.
And do you believe, who made these payments?
I did.
Did you have any input from Mr. Butler on those payments?
No,
And so that's a total of $2,072 made to NES. Are you asking that Mr. Butler reimburse you $1,036 from his portion of the proceeds for the utilities that were paid during the year?
yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to make this an exhibit. What about the water bill? Water,
Yes.
you identify what I've just handed you.
This is a year snapshot of payments made
To whom?
to River Road Utility District.
And in that time, you made those payments on your own?
Yes,
Did you get any money from Mr. Butler to assist in making those payments?
no,
And so that's a total of $1,271.66. Are you asking the court to make Mr. Butler responsible for half of that from his
Yes.
house proceeds? Your Honor, I'd ask to make that an exhibit as well, please. Additionally, you've also had to have certain maintenance items completed or maintenance work.
Yes. This is a handyman invoice.
What's the date on the first one?
The first one is dated July the 13th,
And made it to whom?
to at-home renovations for $630.
And what was that for?
That was for, fixing the front porch, mounting a dishwasher, replacing a broken, island countertop, changing out an HVAC return, and then also, fixing a kitchen light.
And is that in preparation of sale?
Yes.
Then if we look on the next page, this invoice, what's the date on that?
This is, October the 10th of 2024,
What's the amount?
$250.
And that was paid to whom?
That was paid to, LGS LLC.
And what was that for?
That was for, fixing, a sheetrock, block in the bathroom, fixing a leaky toilet, and, removing and installing the kitchen light that I recently had to get repaired again.
All right. And then on the third page, what is this for?
This, this was for $681, and this one is not an itemized statement. This one, was, placing baseboards and also making a door frame into the pantry. We had removed all that because we were gonna try to do an archway, but then that never happened. So easiest thing was just to rebuild the frame. So
And what's the date on that at the bottom?
that is October the 26th, 24.
Did you pay for all three of these repairs?
Yes.
Did you get any assistance from Mr. Butler on those?
No.
Are you asking the court to, hold on, let me make sure that I got my totals right. Are you asking Mr. Butler to be responsible for half of those?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to make this an exhibit, please. And again, Your Honor, I have a summary of those that I would like to admit into evidence, but I'll tell you, my math is incorrect. I just realized a mistake. So that total is not accurate, but the list is accurate.
Well, let's take that after the recess. We recess for 15 minutes.
All right, so we just have a couple more things to run through. We have the contents of the home that are the things that are still in the home. And what do you propose? What would you like the court to do with those things?
I guess divide it up.
And how can you coordinate? Again, it's kind of like with his personal items, with Mr. Butler's personal items. Would you be able to put those things that the court might award to him somewhere secure for him to get those, or work something out with that
Yeah.
before the sale of the home? And otherwise, if that isn't agreeable, would you agree that there might be a limited amount of credit that he may need to receive on his side for contents of the home, such as the appliances and the furniture?
Yeah. I mean, to simplify things, we could do that.
And how much credit do you think that might be worth?
Maybe like 2,000.
All right. Then
Repeat that. You want credit 2,000 for what?
there are household furnishings and appliances that she understands that he has a claim to some of those, and that might be worth about $2,000 on his side to the positive.
Okay.
And then let's talk about your bank accounts that you have. Do you have separate bank accounts in your name only?
Yes.
Does he have bank accounts in his name only?
I'm assuming so.
Would you ask that yours is yours and his is his?
Yes.
Are there any joint accounts?
There are, and I would like for that account to be closed.
And what do you think the balance of that account is?
I actually just checked it on lunch, $45.
And are you asking to be awarded that $45 balance for the work that you're gonna have to do to close that account?
Sure.
Then do you have a retirement account?
I do.
What's the balance of your retirement account?
Roughly 40,000.
And are you asking what do you propose happen with the 401k?
I would like to keep it.
And why do you think that you're entitled to keep all of that $40,000 401k balance?
Because a portion of that I did earn before we were married.
And in the meantime, you're gonna be the person that has to prepare the house for sale and work through all of those things. And would that be a repayment, so to speak, for the work that you're gonna have to do to prepare the house to sell?
Yes,
So you're asking that your 401k stay in your name.
yes.
What about vehicles? What vehicle do you have?
I have a 2016 Chevy Tahoe.
And you probably speak up a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
You have a 2016 Chevy Tahoe. Does it have a note on it?
It does.
And what's the balance of that?
A little over 22,000.
Are you asking that you retain that Chevy Tahoe and be responsible for that debt?
Yes,
And then does Mr. Butler have vehicles?
he does.
What are they?
He has a 2008 Escalade and then a 2010 Cadillac. I think it's an SRX. It's a mid-size SUV.
Are there any, is there any debt associated with those?
No,
Are you asking that he be awarded those two Cadillacs
yes,
and they'll become his property?
yes,
What about, debt that you have? Do you have any joint debt?
no,
Where- So you have some credit card debt, though.
yes.
He has some credit card debt.
I'm assuming, yes.
Are you asking, and you have student loan debt, both
Yes.
of you? Are you asking that your debt be yours and his debt be his?
Yes,
What about attorney's fees? Have you expended or obligated yourself to attorney's fees in this case?
yes,
And are those fees greatly increased due to the direct behavior of Mr. Butler?
absolutely.
What are you asking the court to do related to your attorney's fees?
I'm asking that he cover the attorney's fees
And where would you propose that the payment for those attorney's fees come from?
from Mr. Butler.
From how?
Oh, from the sale of the house.
Perfect. And Your Honor, that's all I would have.
Mr. Butler, you're acting as your own attorney. You have the right, if you choose to ask questions. You want to ask any?
Ran out of money. So, yeah, I definitely would like to ask a question.
All right, just make sure that your questions are in a question form where I'm going to give you a chance to testify if you choose to, but you can ask her questions only. Okay?
Yes, sir, I'm learning as I go. Thank you. Is it okay if I use the notes app on my phone?
What app?
The notes.
You want to look at some notes, that's fine.
Okay, I didn't know if it was okay. Okay, so, going back to, the original incident that right before Christmas when we got into the argument, it had been something that had been escalating for some time, right?
Yes.
And you had admitted before that you had feelings for somebody at work. Is that right?
Yes.
And at that point in time, did you had admit that to me by then, or was it?
I admitted that to you in July of 2022.
And, but for a long time, it was, we slept in separate bedrooms, to kind of keep the peace for a while, when you say.
Yeah, I would say that was the arrangement a lot of the time.
And then, like, say we're at work, we hardly talk via text or phone calls. We just kind of stuck to ourselves for a little bit, for a few months, I would say,
No, it never.
leading up to that.
No.
Okay. Going to Mother's Day weekend, when we were preparing to give you your gift with the kids, and I became frustrated. I quickly realized I was frustrated and decided to take a break in our bedroom.
Yes.
Remember, it's got to be a question, not just a statement.
Yes, sir. Okay, yes, sir. Um, I don't want to say, was there a few times where we tried to resolve the issue that weekend calmly?
Yes,
Was there, do you remember what happened when we tried to resolve that issue?
it re-escalated.
Did, were you coming off any medication around that time?
I was briefly on an antidepressant
And you had stopped taking it around
and I
that?
had stopped taking it around that
About
time.
how many days do you think it had been?
I couldn't remember, maybe a week or two. The medicine was making me feel dizzy, so I stopped taking it.
Um, Your Honor, I do have, police body cam footage. I would like to show to the court. I didn't know how to get it to you. I do have it. We could play it. I do have my phone if you would like to watch it from Mother's
It
Day.
has to be demonstrated in a way that can be seen by counsel and the witness as well as the court. If you don't have the ability to play it in that fashion, then I can't admit it. Can't just let you play it on your phone. And what is this exactly?
Oh, I also have it on thumb drives as well. I could, hand out.
I'm not sure. Not really. Seven,
At the time, I had Rhonda Crabtree, and I did give it to her and to put in the
What
discovery.
is this that you're wanting to introduce?
It's the body cam footage of the night of Mother's Day when I was arrested for failure to identify. And it just, she's telling the cop that, I'm, trying to de-escalate the situation multiple times, and she even admits that to the cop. And then, it admits the cop, for putting her hands on me, and I just told the cop I just don't want to talk. I didn't want to incriminate myself. And then pretty much I was arrested, and then
is it current? Is it current? Better than confident. And all, there's no video at all. On the factory office, so I would just like that not be the time.
Well, she's objecting to the fact that you've not provided that in discovery responses, which is required under the rules. And I don't have a method by which I can just simply allow you to introduce a video, anyway, if it's on body cam footage or whatever, but. So I'm going to sustain the objection based on the fact that two things. One is it wasn't provided in discovery, and the second is that it was, we don't have a method of being able to play it for you at this point. You would have to produce a means of showing it to the court at that point. So sustain the objection.
yes, sir. And then ultimately that night I was arrested, right? And the charges, they kind of changed. They didn't really know what they were going to charge me with. Is that right? So they were kind of, working together, trying to figure out, did you think I was drinking that night?
Yes,
Okay.
an officer said he smelled it on you.
Yeah, I wasn't, sorry. And, and that was 1 week before the court date, after I did the, anger management classes for 26 weeks. It was almost like 1 week till that court date to where they were, either going to dismiss the charges or, move forward with them. Is that right?
I only learned that after the fact.
Okay. And On June 15th, that was the day that, we decided to go to Montgomeryville and that morning, I also did get the body cam footage of that as well, Your Honor, and the police officers both realized.
Rules require that you produce prior to trial any evidence that you're going to use at trial. So I had really no choice but to sustain an objection because it wasn't produced.
Yeah, I didn't know. Do you know why the cops didn't charge me with anything that day? So, around August 10th, around that time, do you know where I was living at that time?
You were living in your truck in the neighbor's driveway.
I was actually in her house,
Okay,
sleeping, living, at Marcia's.
Marsh.
Sustain, you cannot make a statement, that's testimony. You're gonna get a chance to testify tomorrow.
So,
I don't expect we're gonna finish today, so you'll get a chance to testify tomorrow morning. I just want you to understand you cannot make those kinds of statements.
Yes,
Okay?
Yes, sir, I'm trying. Did you allow me to come over to the house around that time?
I had invited you over before then.
So for me to just like show up there wasn't out of the ordinary because we were allowing me there, right?
But it was late at night. And it was obvious that you had been in the house when you weren't allowed in the house, so it scared me.
Okay. And then, yeah, then the next day, I approached you, or no, um, I did offer to fix a vanity for you.
That you broke.
I did offer to fix it for you.
I didn't want you in the house at that point.
And, I did tell you what my work schedule was that day, correct?
Well, I don't remember. I know what you're trying to get at. The stalking was not because you saw me at that church parking lot talking to Aubin. It was because of that phone that they found in my trunk. Not even an hour before then.
Yeah, prior to that phone being in there, do you remember going to the water park, us
I
three?
do.
And where did we put our electronics that day?
All the bags were in the trunk,
In the trunk.
but they said it was hid in the lining of the trunk.
And at that time, is it fair to say that I had a lot of personal items in my vehicle, because of my departure from living in the house?
Yes.
And that phone you had seen before,
I saw that. phone
you
in
know,
your
it
bag.
had been around the house, floating around. You've seen it. Um, you think it's possible that it might have just got left in there from the water?
She's objecting to the fact that you're asking her to speculate whether or not it's possible that that phone got put in there. It's always possible that some third person put it in there. It's possible. There are all sorts of infinite possibilities, but that would require speculation. So I have to sustain the objection. She can't testify as to how something conceivably could have happened. Okay?
I understand. Was the phone activated?
I don't know.
Was there like service on the phone?
I didn't check it. I just turned it in to the sheriff's office.
They didn't check it.
I don't know what they did with it.
Um, um, then, I got put on probation and I had the GPS bracelet and then we had that reconnection. Uh, and before December, before the agreed order, there were, order of protections in place and it made it really hard for me to be able to see Ryan.
Yes.
And so that's why in that time, I didn't have visitation with Ryan
Right.
because I couldn't, and uh, okay. And, during that big snowstorm, there were a few days where we did have snow on the road and, you did bring Ryan to me and I did watch him for you, right? Or,
But that was a big snowstorm
um,
that I referenced.
right.
But there was another snow day where he stayed with Miss Gail and Dewey down the road, and then I brought Ryan to you after work. That is true.
There wasn't two incidents. They're about a week apart where they canceled school and, you brought him over a couple times. And then on the evening of that big snowstorm, I did tell you that I was working and I couldn't get to my phone, but I did try to reach out to you around later that evening, around 5 o'clock.
Which incident?
With
are
the
we-
big stuff, the the big snowstorm.
The only correspondence I got from you that night was I was still at work. And I asked you if you could or could not get him because I needed to make other arrangements. And all you said was, I can't. You didn't say because I'm working late, but can you bring him over later? It was just, I can't. And I had made it very clear to you that I wanted Ryan to be where he was going to be Thursday night before the snowstorm hit.
Sorry to jump around, but going back to the August 10th, that was around Ryan's first day of school. All right.
That was the weekend before his first day of school. Yeah.
And, I did ask you if it would be okay if I got to see him, after his first day of school.
You went with us when we went to meet the teacher on the open house the night before school started. Yes.
Yeah. And, well, I had a little bit of work at the time. And so, I did want to see him that evening, and, do you remember me asking you that?
I remember you asking if I wanted to go out to eat the night that we were together at open house, and I told you no. I think I'd already planned on cooking something, and then I had already made arrangements with Auburn as a surprise for Ron, and I didn't want to tell you because I was scared that you might show up.
I've always supported Ryan getting to be with his brother and sister all the time, right?
Yes.
And I also, since me and Aubin separated, I've always made a good effort to go pick up Bailey and Corey.
Overrule, I think it would be relevant, but you just can't make a statement. You gotta ask a question. You have to at least some point say, ask her if that is in fact the case, rather than you just stating it.
Okay.
The reason I'm overruling it, Ms. Brady, is because in parenting, it's not just about these children, the child that's in this case, but a track record of what he has in the way of contact with other children is important. Ask her a question about what she thinks about your relationship with the other children. I cut off your train of thought. So I'll give you that much leeway to say, if you're gonna ask her a question about your children, ask her, what is her opinion about your parenting of your other children?
Yeah, what do you think about the relationship that I have with me and Bailey and Corey, or my other children?
Right now, I don't think you have a relationship with Bailey and Corey other than FaceTime because Auburn does not feel comfortable with them staying overnight with you or being in a vehicle with you.
What do you think about before this happened, my relationship with Bailey and Corey?
I've always thought you were a good dad. You have the potential to be a good dad. So I know you've always tried to be involved with Bailey and Corey.
And with Ryan's life and all his activities, I was usually there, right? Usually involved 90, I would say about 98% of the time, would you say?
Yeah.
Almost 100% of the time. Whether it's doctor's appointments, soccer, coaching soccer, and also getting Ryan to go to Bailey and Corey's soccer games, or trying to keep everybody involved. You say I tried to do that.
In the past, yes, but I feel like recently that has kind of all dissolved.
And recently, what did make Aubin not allow me Bailey and Corey?
Because of your behavior, your inability to work with her in making logistical arrangements with the children.
But before that, Bailey and Corey were coming over every other weekend like normal, right? When you would drop Ryan off at the house before,
Yes.
and Bailey and Corey were always there. And then all of a sudden they just weren't. It has nothing to do with this case. Oh,
I mean, it kind of bleeds together, but I think that it's also your relationship with Alban and her fear of you potentially relapsing and not having secure housing.
Do you mind, Your Honor, if I grab?
Go ahead.
Going back to August 7th, that was a day, or March 7th, I'm sorry. We had switched weekends that weekend, I believe, and I had him that following Wednesday, so I would have had him Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But we never agreed on it.
Right, but leading up to that, that was the, in theory, that was the plan.
The plan was for you to get him that weekend, but it was difficult for us to communicate about logistics because of the divorce arguments. So it wasn't explicitly clear. And when I tried to contact you that Wednesday, you had blocked my phone.
Okay, and that was the Wednesday that you did the welfare check?
It was Thursday. I gave you a full 24 hours and I was still blocked at that point. So I did call the police and ask for a welfare check.
And those were my days for parenting, right?
Technically, but we had switched weekends and it wasn't explicit that you were going to have him Wednesday through Monday.
Right, but that was my original Wednesday through, that was my original court order set day.
Yes,
But that weekend was a weekend we verbally decided to switch because I went to Florida. Right?
correct.
Um,
I did the wellness check because you blocked my phone.
okay. Your Honor, this is, where I did try to call her on March the 7th and I got no answer. I don't know.
Go to Ms. Brady and see if she has any objection. And what is this again?
March the 7th, they said I didn't show up to pick up Ryan. Well, I tried to call her, and also before that Wednesday or Thursday, when cops got involved, she quickly was trying to say, well, we didn't
Right,
talk
so
about.
you're wanting to
privacy."
introduce this, that she identified it? You have to, if she's testifying, you have to offer a document to her to let her admit that she knows what it is and it's accurate, and then you can introduce it. Otherwise, you'll have to introduce it when you testify. You understand? But I'm gonna hand that back to you because you can't just offer a document that's hasn't been identified. And you can't, in asking a question, identify a document and then say, I want to make this an exhibit. So the proper way of doing it is show it to her, ask her if she knows what that is. And I don't think she's gonna be able to because it's a copy of your phone records, right?
Yes, sir, thank you. Do you mind? That's okay.
You go ahead and try to show it to her and see if she knows anything about it.
I do remember that. That's when I was getting my hair done because I told you I wasn't going to be able to pick Ryan up that Friday night.
Were you getting what time were you getting? Your
I was in the chair was probably getting my hair shampooed at that time.
So do you recognize that as being accurate?
Yes.
Right, then we'll let it be marked as an exhibit.
And then also leading up to, me, not wanting to talk to you, do you remember me trying to make several attempts to, mend the situation, to try to reach across the aisle, so to speak, to,
At what time frame and what capacity?
um, around that time when you called the cops for a welfare check, We were
Well,
going to,
my phone number when you had Ryan, so no, I don't think you were reaching across the aisle.
well, I don't think
You did.
um,
I had not called for a welfare check if I was able to contact you. That would be an abuse.
do you remember the time at Ninja class, you, asked to talk outside and we could try to like talk about the situation? I mean, and you asked me what I wanted. Do you remember what I said?
We want.
Objection is to the fact that you cannot testify about negotiations and settlement. And she's arguing that what's been discussed over a period of 3 years would not be relevant to what's going on. So you're going to sustain the objection. That means you cannot ask her that question.
I got you. Yes, sir. Um, do you mind if I approach it with a
I don't know the approacher. What is it you're approaching her about?
email that I sent to try to amend the air a little bit, to try to make things better.
And when was this email sent?
It was this was in February. actually.
Of this year?
Yes, sir.
Has Miss Brady seen this document? His case, he can try it however he wants, but the first thing I need you to do is see whether or not you have any objections. Objection is it wasn't provided in discovery. The second objection is that it's basically, again, after the, discussions that have occurred over a long period of time, that marriage doesn't just end overnight.
Sure.
Usually it's going to be a deterioration that occurs over time. And so your efforts, it's acknowledged that you both have probably made efforts. I think apparent that both of you have made efforts when she's alleging that these things occurred, and then she still takes you back and you two work on trying to be together. Sometimes things are just not fated to happen.
Sure.
So I'm not going to allow you to introduce that record because I don't think there's any dispute about that fact.
Sure. And then the last order of protection that was taken out, do you remember why you took it out?
It was a ninja class and I just felt like I dreaded every Wednesday. Ryan loved that class, but I dreaded it because even if it was my Wednesday, you would come and you would harass me and call me names, and it was just awful. And you had just got that tracking device taken off, and you basically intimidated me that your lawyer told you that you were allowed to move back into the house.
In that ninja class, you would, the room that everybody sits in to watch their kids, it's fairly small, right?
It is.
And there's a lot of parents in there, would you say?
Yeah.
Pretty packed. I guess what I'm getting at is, if there was a huge name calling scene, somebody surely would have heard it.
I mean, you whispered it in my ear, but I knew what you said.
And then for that first court date of that order of protection, did you show up to court that day?
I did, because I remember you were yelling at Rhonda in the hallway. Remember, we were trying to negotiate terms. But it was filed, I think, on a Thursday, and then we got a rush on Monday, but then there wasn't docket time. So I was there.
But you weren't there when our name was called to go to the podium.
The second time, no, it was my understanding that my lawyer was in a different county and she would not, the case would not be heard. And so I was not in the courtroom right at 9 a.m. And so I was late.
So it wasn't that important to you?
No, it was important to me, but I was told that I didn't have to be here right at 9 a.m. So I wasn't, and I don't really like waiting out in the hallway with you. That's why I usually come in right at 9 o'clock.
And then when that order of protection was in place, there's a message from somebody named Aaron Butler through Facebook, and I have it right here. If it's okay if I could approach her.
Amen.
remember sending,
I don't have a Facebook account. No.
can I submit this? It needs to be a picture of a girl.
She hasn't seen that, is that correct?
No, I said, I mean, no, I haven't seen that and I don't have a Facebook account, so that could not be me. Aaron Butler is a popular name.
Again, you can't just introduce a document when, the way that you have to do is you have to show it to or a witness and then let them identify what it is and that they confirmed it is accurate. Otherwise, you can't use this witness to introduce that document. You'll have to introduce it through another means. Explain the objection.
So going back to the time when I had to bring Ryan back home, and I was scared to call you, so I had him call you.
Oh, that's when you went to Marcia's house.
Yes, and I don't know how to say with the question. I do have the hair test.
I would sustain the objection. You could, I mean, if you've got a test result that was ordered by the court, then when you testify tomorrow, you will be able to introduce that.
Oh,
You'll have, it's your result, so you'll have to testify about it.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I really appreciate your patience. I didn't want to do this by choice, I promise.
Frankly, I didn't want you to be unrepresented, but I don't have anything to do with it, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's. That's all I got. That's all I got, thank you.
Do you have any other questions for this witness?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any other questions for her?
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Brady, do you have a redirect? Step down, man. Courthouse is closing, so we're gonna go ahead and adjourn for today, and tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, we'll resume this case. Ms. Brady, I know you have other matters tomorrow as well. We will adjourn until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We're back on Butler versus Butler from yesterday. It was Brady, I believe your client had just finished testifying. Is that correct? Do you have any other proof? Mr. Butler, this is your opportunity. The plaintiff is rested on their ground for divorce. And this is your opportunity to present any proof that you wish to. Do you want to testify? All right, are you chewing gum? All right, spit it out before you take the stand, if you will. You come up. Like I say, you are representing yourself, so this is your opportunity to tell me what, you can respond to the statements that she made under oath about what happened. You can testify about what you want me to do regarding the divorce, the property division, and any kind of custody arrangements.
Yes, sir. So, on the I guess we'll just go kind of going down a timeline like they did yesterday. So on the Mother's Day incident.
Let me ask you this question before we get started, and please bear with me. Do you have any pending criminal cases that are pending right now?
I do that I'm taking to trial, yes.
All right, you have a case that's pending?
Yes, sir.
And what kind of case is that?
I was at the hospital being treated for poison ivy. And she showed up there and saw my car.
I'm just asking you, what's the charge?
Oh, stalking.
All right, so you have a pending stalking charge.
Yes, sir.
All right, you need to understand, and it's my duty to inform you of your rights. Every person who is going to testify has a right under the Fifth Amendment of our Constitution to decline to answer questions or to offer testimony if those answers or that testimony might tend to incriminate them in criminal conduct. In other words, if you testify today and you're asked questions about the events that led to that stalking charge, then your answers could later be used against you, and a recording's being made of that. So it's available to the state, the district attorney's office to use that as evidence against you in that criminal case. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Do you understand, Ben, that if you can either refuse to answer questions about that by invoking your right under the Fifth Amendment to decline to testify. You can avoid testifying, on direct when you're telling me what it is. Just don't tell me anything about it. But Ms. Brady Wilkerson has the right to ask you questions about that. And she can ask you a question after question after question. And you either answer the question or state that you decline to answer that question under the Fifth Amendment. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Right. I've advised you of those rights. You're representing yourself. What happens from here on out is on you. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, then go. Do you have any other witnesses that you intend to call?
I don't.
All right, no other witnesses. All right. Then, Mr. Butler, I'm ready to hear from you.
Yes, sir. So going back to Mother's Day, 2024, that weekend, me and Aaron were kind of having an argument, and I didn't realize that this at the time. She had been coming off. She stopped taking her antidepressant medicines, and she was very emotional that weekend. And I didn't realize that weekend, and it wasn't until later. And there was multiple attempts of trying to reason and kind of talk her down, and we couldn't come to an agreement. So it was that Sunday, once I realized we couldn't work anything out, I decided to take my other two children home. So that way she was yelling a lot that weekend, and I didn't want them to be, I've been trying to hide them from that. And so I ended up taking them home early and dropped them off. And instead of going back home, I sat in the car for a bit, and I wrote in my journal, and then I went home to give everything time to cool off. And so I did, and when I saw her, I approached her, and I tried to amend the situation, and she just didn't really want to talk to me. So again, I left. And then I came back about an hour later, 2 hours later, I can't remember exactly how long. And she was just yelling and screaming, and eventually it led to the cops being called. And I did get the body cam footage of that, if I'm able to submit that for evidence of that night. And Aaron is telling the cops that multiple attempts I've tried to defuse the situation, multiple times. And she does admit to putting her hands around me. She grabs me by the throat, and then her eyes get big and she realizes what she's doing, and then she just rips my shirt. And so, when the cops got there, I refused to talk to them. I didn't want to incriminate myself, one, and two, I didn't want her to go to jail. After going through what I've been going through, I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody. But I ended up going to jail because I didn't give him my ID on private property. And then it wasn't until later, like when I first got to jail, they didn't even know what they were going to charge me with. It took them a while to even figure that out. He said I was drinking alcohol that night, and I definitely was not drinking alcohol that night. I know that I wasn't, and I asked him for a breathalyzer, and they would not give me one. And so then now going a month later, it was August, I think it was August, the cops had came out to our house again. It was the morning, we were set to go to Montgomery Bell State Park that morning. And, that morning I was trying to talk to Aaron, like, because there's been a lot of friction between the two of us. And we were supposed to go to the state park with our son, and I was trying to kind of ease the situation so didn't feel so tenseful, especially for our son while we're there. And she was just very hostile and just didn't I was gonna say just I don't know, just kind of trying to like shut me down like at every angle and just trying to like make me feel wrong. And then so I just kind of went about my business, doing my own thing throughout the house. And she was, doing her thing. And at there had been a lot of yelling. And so she was in the bathroom doing her makeup, and I approached her and I said, you mind if we talk? And at this moment, I was just kind of like slowly shutting the door. And she said, you're trapping me in here. You're trapping me in here. I said, no, I'm not. And I quickly opened the door and I quickly moved my body out of the way. Okay. And and I got out of the bathroom, and she calls the cops, and the cops come, and she tells them that I was false imprisonment to her, and I was keeping her against her will. And quickly the cop and the sergeant came out, and I got the body cam footage for that too. I would like to submit. And they quickly realized that she's trying to amp the situation up, which has been kind of like the theme. And so anyways,
So were you charged that night?
I was not charged, Your Honor. No, sir. Because they realized what was actually going on.
You can't tell what somebody realized, nor can you repeat what they said, because that's hearsay.
Yes, sir. So no,
So
yeah.
tell me what do you want to do about you have one child with this?
Yes, sir. So I do have one child with Aaron, and I do have two children with another. And I just would like to get 50% custody. Me and my son Ryan are very, very close.
You want 50, how many times have you been arrested?
Quite a bit, but
Keep count?
yes, sir. It's 1, 2, I think 3 times here, and then once.
Are you on probation right now?
Yes, sir.
How long?
For 1 to 2 years. I think one year for early termination, and then 2 years for the full term.
Right. And you think that despite the fact that you're on probation for criminal conduct, that you should have equal time 50% of the time of your son's life?
I do, sir.
And right now, how often are you seeing your other children?
I'm not seeing them at all, Your Honor.
Why?
I don't know why. She blocked me and won't take my phone calls, and I've tried to ask her why. And she says, I'm not getting into that right now. And then about the same time they took my custody away here is when she did it there. And it was about right back to back.
So right now, how often are you seeing your child with Aaron?
I'm not at all. I dropped my son off at school, and we were 1 minute late, and I dropped him off in the car rider line. Miss Brady said I dropped him off behind the school yesterday, And we were 100% in the car rider lane, and he had to walk to the cafeteria door. And I sat there in the car rider lane and watched him go in the door. And I watched the door open and him go in. And they said that I left him there by himself, which I never did. And I emailed Miss Brady multiple times when it happened to tell her the situation. I think there was a case with DCF got involved, and they found no wrongdoing.
Well, an order that was entered by Judge Turnbow in June of this year, this last month, says that you are to have supervised parenting time on Thursdays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Eden Center.
Yes, sir.
Have you been exercising that visitation?
Yes, sir, I have. When it first started, I did miss the initial visit. I wasn't realizing it was that beginning of that week. And I also had, a lot of work going on that week because I do work for myself. And so after that one, we did get established. And there was one time on Father's Day, I was there, and I was there a couple minutes early, and they told me to park around back because there was a pending order of protection. And I guess so I waited till like right at 5, and I started to walk up, and then there was one of her workers, I didn't realize it at the time, was walking out to her car and gets in her car and leaves literally right at 5 o'clock. And nobody answered the door, and they said I was late. And I know I wasn't late. I was there on time. I was there early, a few minutes early. And then, so since then, I've had a witness go with me there, just so that way, something like that were to happen again, I had somebody to witness it.
You were ordered by Judge Turnbow to take a 14-panel drug test.
Yes, sir.
Is that what you had yesterday?
Yes, sir.
You want to introduce that, you can get that.
Your Honor, that's the photograph of that, so I have a-
Yes, if you will, demonstrate that.
And me and Miss Brady did talk about the 14-panel drug test cost upwards of $600 to $800. And after speaking with Miss Brady, she agreed to a 10-panel.
Your Honor, just so you know that part of it, that is, myself, not.
So you have a 10-panel drug test. This is a hair follicle test.
Yes, sir. And it goes back 90 days.
All right, mark that as exhibit. But you were ordered to take a 14-panel and you have not done it.
Well, I asked Miss Brady, because the 14-panel costs so much, if a 10-panel would be equal to the same as, because I was agreeable to a 14-panel, and they agreed to a 10-panel would be sufficient.
I'm not the one who ordered the 14-panel, that's the problem. Right. So if you're not seeing your children except for supervised visitation,
Yes.
and your child here from with Miss Butler, you're seeing that child by supervised visitation, but you've not been exercising the supervised visitation, or you have?
I have, yes, sir, I have.
And that's at the Eden Center?
Yes, sir.
All right,
I've missed a couple of visits.
all right. And are you paying for that?
They said it's free there.
It is free. Okay. All right. Tell me what else you want me to do in this particular case.
So Judge Turnbow, they took away my custody. She made claims of me being on drugs. And I absolutely haven't been on drugs. For probation, they drug test me pretty regular. And then I also see a doctor once a month. And I get drug tested there, and I've been seeing him for multiple years, and I've never failed a drug test there. And so I guess there was an ex parte. They were to suspend my parenting time based on that right there, dropping my son off at school and just saying I was on drugs with no evidence or no, anything.
You heard your wife testify yesterday about some of the things that happened between the two of you and what she detailed as physical abuse that you've inflicted on her.
Yes, sir.
And she introduced photographs of bruises and on her face, and bruises on her arm. And there was this testimony about you trying to gouge your eyes out with her thumbs and so forth. Do you understand how that can concern me regarding you as a custodian for your children?
Yes, sir, I do. And I never intended to gouge her eyeballs out or anything. And I hope you would take into consideration, Your Honor, that night she did come after me a few times, and I left and ran out to the back door and tried to leave the situation multiple times. And also she's had plenty of time to think about what to say, because it was months and months later before she even went to the police. And I just I did do complete the anger management 26-week class, Your Honor. I did go to Cumberland Heights intensive outpatient program. And I also have been involved with individual counseling for well over a year. When I was working at YRC Freight before they filed for bankruptcy, that's how I lost my job. On my insurance provided 1 week free counseling every week, and I took advantage of that. And that's honestly, Your Honor, what has helped me grow as a person and change my outlook and help me control my emotions and also be a better parent to my son. And also, going to the outpatient, I haven't drank alcohol in been a while. I can't tell you exactly how long, but it's been multiple years. And I hope with that, Your Honor, I have, and I've also coached my son's soccer team, and all the kids on his team loved me. Every time I would show up for soccer practice, they would run over and jump on me. And I've been actively involved in my son's life in a positive manner. With anything and everything he had going on, I was sure to be there. And there was couple of times when Aaron's mother wanted to be involved, and she wasn't a big fan of me, and I always supported my son's relationship with his grandmother. And I've always made sure to tell Aaron that, if Gigi wants to come, I'll go somewhere else for a while. That way she can be involved as well. And so I'm also very supportive of everybody else being involved. And I'm a firm believer, the more people that love my son, the better.
Okay. Anything else?
Back in December, with that agreed order, when I was to get my son, and just I was there to get him and pretty much every time, and except for there was one time I was doing a job in Georgia, and I had broke down on the side of the road. And it was my day to get Ryan from school, and I couldn't call Erin to let her know that I was broke down. And I called the school, multiple times. I called the daycare multiple times, no answer, left voicemail. And I ended up calling a friend of mine to go to the school to pick him up. And she went there and there was nobody there, she said. And that was, can't remember the exact date. It was, can't remember. But I think they did mention it yesterday, along with the, on the 7th, when we switched weekends. She said I didn't show up, even though I tried calling Miss Butler to confirm, and no answer. And then also, with my other two children, Your Honor, when me and their mother split, we decided on a child support. We never went to court for a while, and I've always paid her on time, and I always got my other two children when we're supposed to. We worked things out fine, and it wasn't till, I don't know, a couple years later till we finally went to court, and I had always paid her before without even a court order, and I took care of my children and got them every single weekend I was supposed to. I mean, I'm sure there was a couple times where I did miss, and I mean, because it had been many years because of something happened or being out of town or what have you, but I've been actively involved in all my children's life and as much as possible.
All right, anything else?
Um, um, I'm sure there's something I'm missing, and I just hope the courts can see that.
All right, Mr. Brady, you have questions? You'll turn that phone
Oh,
in. Wait a minute, he started something else.
about the, I thought you meant like about the children, like with the stuff at the house. Your Honor, I don't ask for anything that's not mine. I don't want her retirement. I don't want anything that's not mine, and I would never ask for that. And the only things I would ask for is just that things get split equally. And, because
When you say split things equally, what specifically are you referring to?
such as in sale of the house, just like my personal property.
You want to sell the house and you want half the proceeds, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I would. And I have made several attempts to, in the beginning, to try to give Erin money. We did have a joint account, and I told her on multiple times that I was leaving money in there for her. And then one time, she did go up there, and she still is on the account, and I guess she tried to close the account. I'm not sure, but and so when I left the house, I didn't have a job, Your Honor, and I had been working for myself, and me and Erin came to an agreement that she was starting a new job.
Where are you working?
I'm working for myself right now, Your Honor, but I am looking for active employment.
All right, so when you say you're working for yourself, what do you do?
Diesel mechanic, I work on cars, and then I was doing a little bit of subcontracting in the beginning, but I since went back to just working on
How
cars
long has it
equipment.
been since you had a steady job?
It's been about a year and a half, 2 years.
Is that when all these criminal cases started up?
Yeah, it's really hard.
So right now, what is your monthly income?
Oh, Your Honor, it varies. It could be $500 a week to like $200 a week.
And where
about
are
a
you
month.
living?
I'm living, a friend of mine helped me out because I was about to be homeless, and he allowed me to stay in a house that he has and that's empty to help me get back on my feet. It's not a permanent solution. It's that so I can get a job, find a place to live, and that way I didn't have to live on the streets. So that's where I'm living at as of right now, and I am looking for a place and a job. There was a couple of job opportunities that had come up.
What do you have at the house that you're claiming is your personal property that you haven't been able to recover?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to get Bailey and Corey as my other two children. Their stuff that's in the house, like their bed, their clothes, their personal stuff, toys, if I'm allowed. And their like sports equipment as well. So some of the stuff in the garage, like that may be theirs. I got toolboxes in the garage that I brought into this marriage that I had before. That I would like to get, and some tools in that garage I would like to get that I brought into the marriage, especially like my grandfather's tools. There are some tools that I did buy during the marriage, and if we got to split, however, I'm fine with that. There is also a lift in the garage. It's not set up. It's laying down. It's a car lift that it's not mine. It's a friend of mine's. I definitely would like to get that as well. And just stuff like that, and I hope you take into consideration, Your Honor, that I pretty much had to start over, and I can barely afford to pay rent or on my own, let alone, pay a double, rent. And I did make several attempts to try to come up with a way to give her money or, like that.
So have you been paying any kind of support to your wife?
I am not, Your Honor. And there was times where I tried to, and she wouldn't take it.
Have you been paying any support for your other two children?
Yes, sir.
And how
I
much is-
did miss a few payments, Your Honor. I did. But before then, I'd hardly missed a payment until recently. Times have gotten pretty hard. And I just been trying to do the best I can. Especially with, like attorneys and all the fees, and I paid the probation, and it just completely drained everything. I also, leading up to this too, there was an inheritance that I got, and that I did give Erin $5,000 cash to pay her credit card.
When did you do that?
It was a few months before I left the house. So I hope you take that into consideration. I also, in the kitchen where we were gonna put the archway, I drywalled that whole wall. I bought a bunch of drywall. I just bought a brand new refrigerator. It's on my credit card, which I'm fine to keep credit cards. My debt's my debt. Her debt's her debt. I bought a bunch of baseboards, painted the hallway, painted the kitchen. Just did a bunch of work on the house. Bought new light fixtures for the kitchen. 2 light fixtures, and they were like $400 or $500 a piece.
Anything else?
Yeah. And then the mattress in our master bedroom I bought too. It was like $6,000 that I bought, and I did buy that during the marriage, and so I know that would have to get kind of split. And so YRC, my job, I worked for 10 years, and they filed for bankruptcy. And so I never quit my job, Your Honor. Due to them file for bankruptcy, I did lose my job. I was getting
Well, your wife testified, I think it was, that she thought you could make $25 an hour or more.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think it's like $24 an hour.
And
Yeah.
that was the last job you had.
Yes, sir. And then once they did that, me and her came to an agreement that, I would try to work for myself, especially with Ryan starting school. That way I can get him to and from school. And that way she could start her new job with no worries. And that's when, right before everything's happened. Yes, sir.
All right,
And,
anything else? All right, Ms. Brady has the right to ask you some questions, so Ms. Brady, you may cross-examine.
Mr. Butler, I just have a couple of questions. So when the judge asked you how many times you've been arrested, do you know that it's been 7 times that you've been arrested, 7 different incidences?
yeah, I didn't realize it was that many times.
And- Go ahead. So, you were arrested January 17th of 2023 for aggravated domestic assault and false imprisonment. You were arrested May 13th, 2024 for violation of bond and resisting arrest. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then August the 10th, you were arrested for stalking and violation of bond. August 14th, aggravated stalking and use of electronic device. August 15th, aggravated stalking. And then most recently in May, on May 6th, you were arrested for violation of bond conditions in Cheatham County. And then on May 14th, arrested for reckless driving and aggravated stalking in Davidson County. So this has been going on now for 2 years, over 2 years. It started December of 2022 and has continued until just a couple months ago of a continual pattern of you being arrested because of things that you are doing to Miss Butler. Is that right?
Yeah, it's definitely being arrested sounds right, but being at a place where she shows up and me being arrested for never seeing her, and never even seeing her, I'm being arrested for, and it's been a constant attack on me since the beginning, a constant to try to have me arrested over and over and over. And there's body cam footage of that, a proof of that, where
Okay, and you have several convictions though as well. It's not just being arrested.
yes, ma'am, I did make the mistake of taking the charge. My attorney was arguing with me that day, and they ended up kicking us out of the courtroom because he was yelling at me to take the charges. That was the
Who was
last.
your lawyer?
It was attorney Nash. I gave him $10,000 that day, Your Honor, and I would never give him $10,000 to take a deal in one day.
So I want to ask you though, just to be clear, September 4th, 2024, you entered a plea and you were convicted of stalking, bond violation, and domestic violence.
I did take that deal, and I hadn't seen my son for months, and that's one of the reasons that I did want to take the deal, and so, yeah, I ended up taking the deal because I was beat up over and over by Attorney Nash, and I've made several attempts after that to appeal or put something in to take it back because I wasn't emotionally, I was unstable. He's over here attacking me to take this deal, and I ended up doing it, and so.
All right, and then here in May of 2025, you were found guilty. You didn't enter a plea, but you were found guilty by the court in Davidson County.
Yeah, and I don't know why the attorney, I told him, and I've got the audio recording of when I met with him right before we talked to the judge, that we were to take all these charges to trial. And for whatever reason, one of them he set for a bench trial. And he told me that we weren't you know, nothing was gonna be decided today. Everything was gonna get bound over. And at the very end, the judge said I was found guilty of violation. And, you know, I had like my evidence and stuff. I didn't give at any of it at all. I didn't bring it because I wasn't under the impression that everything was gonna get bound over the way he had told me from the beginning.
All
And
right, and then I want to ask you a couple of other questions about where you're staying right now. Where are you staying? Where do you sleep at night?
Back, can I just clarify one thing from the question before? I did file an appeal for, to freeze the verdict, a motion, and I'm trying to take that one back and make all three of them go to trial for this.
Okay, so where do you stay at night?
Yes, ma'am. I was staying right now in Pegram. There's a friend of mine that I do a little bit of work for, and he also gets a little bit of work from me. His name is Terry, and he has a house in the back of his house, and he said I could stay there till I can get on my feet. Or
Okay, and what's Terry's last name?
Whittle.
And did he happen to come with you today?
No, ma'am.
And in this house that you're staying in the back of his house, how big is it? What's it look like? How many rooms are there?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story. It's a pretty big house. I do have pictures of it I can submit for evidence.
And in this 2-bedroom house, does it have electricity?
Yes, it has electricity and it has water. It's in his name, because he knows that I'm having a hard time and he's just trying to help me out.
Does it have flooring? Does it have carpet? What's on the floor?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. It's tile. They just recently remodeled the house a few years back.
Is
So-
this the house that DCS visited?
Yeah,
And you haven't gotten a copy of the DCS report or anything like that, is that right?
no,
Do you have a written lease for this place?
I do not.
You have an oral agreement though?
Yeah, it's just a verbal agreement, yes.
And what are you paying for rent each month?
I'm not paying him anything for rent each month.
And he lives near this home,
Yes. yes,
like
ma'am.
on the same property?
Kind of. They are separate properties. I'm sure they're separate properties, but he owns that property as well.
Okay. And you've had visits with Ryan since the June 4th hearing at the Eden Center.
Yeah.
And you missed 2 of them with no explanation. And you were late for 2 of them, is that right?
I don't recall that. I was late that one time. I was thinking it was at 5:30. And I hadn't seen him in a while, and it was hard to see him. After it's been a while.
Okay, and I know today you brought someone with you. Who did you bring with you?
Yeah, that's Barbara.
And what's Miss Barbara's last name?
I think it's Woodall. Actually, I think it's different. I'm not sure.
Okay, and who is she? How do you know her?
That's Terry Will's mother. And I know her from church.
And does she live in the same community in Pegram?
Yes.
Does she live on the same property?
Her property's separate, but all these properties butt up together.
And she's come with you to some visits at the Eden Center?
Yes, ma'am. Since the on Father's Day when I was there, since that happened, and then also the Cheatham County Police have been pulling me over constantly, and for that too, so that way that couldn't happen.
Okay, and so, but she's come with you to those visits, so your son knows her?
Yeah, yeah.
And your Miss Butler has agreed to allow her to be at those visits?
Yes.
And you think that Miss Barbara is a good person to be around your child?
I do, as far as I know, yes.
So if the court decided today that you were gonna have, when you had parenting time with Ryan, if the court decided today that it would be with Miss Barbara present, how would that work for you? Do you think that would be acceptable?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so then, on the, really the couple last little things, on the financial portion of this hearing, you said that you've made deposits into the joint account to try to help carry the cost of some of the home. Is that what, that was your testimony?
Yeah, well, in turn, I told Aaron that I had extra funds in there to let her know there was money, to try to, but she was never taking the money out of there.
And so if we looked at bank records and it looked like you had deposited $8,574, think that sounds right?
Probably. Yeah, but also a lot of that money was for, like the parts or it wasn't 100%, profit, I should say. It was for, like material costs, that's bound in there as well.
I gotcha. And so if that same bank record would show that you deposited 8,500, but you withdrew 8,600 for child support, gas station, food purchases, do you think that sounds about accurate?
Sure.
All right, Your Honor, that's all I would have.
Also, Your Honor, Judge Turnbow, after the drug test results, he said that I could resume back to the 50% custody that we had before. If that was,
Well, I'm not there.
I don't know, you're not, but
The criminal, you're on 2 years probation and your 1 year probation. Are those running concurrently at the same time?
yes, sir,
Is
and
that here out of out of Cheatham County?
yes, sir,
And
and
have they filed a probation violation against you because of this new case?
yes, sir, and
And
so,
when is it set to be heard?
in August the 13th, I've
So-
also, the Cheatham County, the August the 13th.
You understand that with a probation
Yes.
violation, if the judge in August finds you guilty, they can revoke that 2 year sentence and you can go to prison for 2 years.
Yes, sir, I do, and I just really hope they don't, and I was,
I'm sure you do, but I'm just telling you, I'm making sure that you understand what's going on.
yes,
Right,
sir,
thank
and
you. You can step down. You have any other witnesses? I believe it's rested his proof. Ms. Brady Wilkerson, do you wish to offer any other testimony? I'll hear in closing.
Your Honor, as you can see from the court file and as you've heard in testimony today, father's parenting time was set to be supervised June 4th by order of this court, and that it would be reviewed on June 30th if the father had completed a hair follicle, which it was announced, or it was ordered that it be a 14 panel. And then also that he had a DCS walkthrough of his home. Then the court reviewed that on June 30th, and on June 30th, in agreement with Judge Turnbow, that was reduced to a 10 panel because it had not been done by June 30th. The drug test hadn't been done. And so that was reduced to a 10 panel. We've got that today, which shows a negative screen, but other than that, nothing has changed in Mr. Butler's situation since June the 4th. And so I would ask the court that he be left at supervised visits. There's been no showing, no proof before the court that the home that he's in is stable. We have his testimony, but I would ask the court not to consider his testimony credible because he often doesn't even remember different things that have happened to him in his life. So, however, though, Your Honor, we would ask for a change of the schedule. As you know, it's 2 days a week at a facility, and that's not sustainable for a long-term situation. I've talked to my client, and she is agreeable, if the court is agreeable, to allow Barbara, if she's agreeable, to supervise that visit or supervise that parenting time. I know that's a little unusual since we don't really have her as, as a party or under an order of this court to do that, but that's something that we might consider, or we could say supervised by an agreeable third party, whoever that may be. However, that's going to be complicated because there's no contact between the parents right now based on the criminal case. So I'm not sure how to solve that problem for Mr. Butler, unfortunately. So there's that, but I want to go through, and I know you know this already, but I would just like to make it for the court's consideration, the factors in TCA 36-6106 that the court must consider. Obviously, strength, nature, and stability of the child's relationship with each parent prior to separation. There was a good relationship between both parents and the child. However, since then, there's been months where the father has been unwilling or unable to attend to Ryan's daily needs. He was either incarcerated, on the run from the police, or unavailable, didn't have a home. And so we would say that that factor weighs in favor of the mother. Second factor, each parent's past and potential for future performance of parenting responsibilities. As stated, Mr. Butler has struggled to fulfill these responsibilities. He's failed to pick up Ryan from school, dropped him off at the wrong places, and failed to maintain a stable home or job. So this factor weighs in favor of the mother. Number 3, refusal to attend court-ordered seminar is not applicable in this case. Number 4, the disposition of each parent to provide the child with food, clothing, medical care, education, and other necessary care. As you heard Ms. Butler testify, Mr. Butler has, actually, Your Honor, we didn't discuss that. Mr. Butler has not provided evidence of stable income at this point. At the hearing with Judge Turnbow, he didn't know the name of his landlord, didn't know how much rent he was paying. He had no information about his home. We have his testimony today that that may have improved, but we don't have anything firm before the court other than his assurance that the home that he's in is acceptable. The mother, on the other hand, as you know, has maintained the home despite having no financial assistance or physical assistance from Mr. Butler. She has a job and has cared for the child. Therefore, that factor weighs in favor of the mother. The degree to which a parent has been the primary caregiver. We've already covered this. As you know, the mother has been the primary caregiver since at least July of 2024, when the father was court-ordered to leave the home because of his own behavior, except for the times when the father was exercising parenting time every other weekend, which was very sporadic. And even those periods were marked by failed pickups or problematic drop-offs. So this factor weighs in favor of the mother. Number 6, the love, affection, and emotional ties. There's no doubt that Ryan loves both parents, so that factor weighs equally for both of them. Number 7, the emotional needs of the child and his developmental level. Obviously, a child needs stable relationships to be able to develop appropriately. In a home and a relationship that is marked by extreme domestic violence, stalking, and repeated failure to follow a court order, this preponderates in favor of the mother. The moral, physical, and emotional fitness of each parent. Again, there's deep concerns about the father's fitness and his ability to parent the child. Therefore, we would say this weighs in favor of the mother. Number 9 is the child's interactions with siblings, as well as involvement with physical surroundings and schools. As you heard, the mother has continued to facilitate a relationship between Ryan and his siblings that are not even her own children. Therefore, we would say that this factor weighs in favor of the mother. Importance of continuity in the child's life. You heard that he's been in the primary care of the mother for at least a year. And prior to that, even then, the mother was the stabilizing factor in her life. She's maintained a job, maintained a home, and all of these things while the father, as we know, has had his struggles. Number 11, evidence of physical or emotional abuse to the child, the other parent, or any other person. This has gone on and on and on for 3 years. So we say that this factor obviously weighs in favor of the mother. The character and behavior of any other person who resides in the home. No one lives with the mother. The father has lived in various homes. He's been in this place for at least 30 days. We hope that he stays there, but we don't know anything about who may be in or out of that home. So we say this factor weighs in favor of the mother. Number 13 does not apply. Number 14, each parent's employment schedule. Obviously, we don't have any evidence of the father's work schedule. This factor may honestly be equal between the two of them because it sounds like Mr. Butler has some flexibility in his schedule. And that, Your Honor, would be all that we would have on that. As far as the child support calculation, we've submitted evidence of what the credit should be to the mother, what her income is, what we believe his income should be if he worked the job that he were able to work. And we would ask that you accept all of that testimony as credible and make that an order of the court.
You've asked me to assign an income to him that clearly he's not earning at the present time. That would more or less be setting him up to fail, wouldn't it?
Your Honor, I'm sorry to say that I think that our position would be he has the ability to earn that. He's choosing not to earn it that's a different story. And that's what he has been able to historically earn, and that's what he agrees that he has the ability to earn. Whether he keeps a job or doesn't keep a job, child support court runs all day long on that exact same story. So that's our position on that. As far as the marital estate, the mother already testified that she's fine to divide the contents. That makes sense, of course, to sell the home, to close the joint account, that her retirement would be her own. They keep their own vehicles, they keep their respective debt. And again, Your Honor, we're renewing our request that the father be responsible for the mother's attorney's fees, or at least a significant portion of that, because many of these hearings and many of the things that we've done for the last 2 years is a direct result of his criminal behavior. And the mother shouldn't have to suffer that. Thank you.
Butler, you want to make a last statement?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. So the drug test was court ordered to be before the 30th, Your Honor. And I did have the drug test done before the 30th. And we just didn't have the results. Miss Brady did say I didn't have it done. I did. We just didn't have the results. And I showed the courts the receipts of the drug test, multiple receipts where I paid for it. And I've always been willing to get my son Ryan. It's been a constant attack for little things, nitpicky things. And that's just how it's been on me since day one. And I've always made a good faith effort to work with Aaron. I have provided, because I did start over, so I had to buy my kids all new clothes, all new cups, all new toys, all new everything. And I've slowly have been building that stuff up because she's made it a challenge for me to go to the house. They did take out an order of protection on me, not because of violence. There has been no violence since the original incident in 2022. I can't remember the exact year, Your Honor. And since then, I have been in individual therapy for a number of years. I did do the domestic intervention for 26 weeks, and I ended up going back there because I just like the counselors for individual therapy with them as well. I know I don't have a stable income, Your Honor, and I hope the courts would take into consideration that me and Mrs. Butler had a verbal agreement beforehand to not seek active employment, because of everything going on. And then I also took these charges, and I didn't realize how hard it would be to get a job after that. And it's been incredibly difficult. And so in December, there was an agreed order that I was to have access to the outbuilding. There is a shop at our house where I have a lot of my tools. I did a lot of my work there to make my money, that I was allowed access there, and never once was I allowed to go back there after several attempts of trying to do that, Your Honor. And then when they did take the bracelet off me, it was not even days later. They went and put that order of protection on me for nothing. And then the first court date for the temporary, she didn't show up, and they were quickly trying to put things off. And so when I did get, it was like 40-something% custody in December. There was one time I couldn't get my son, and I did call somebody to go to the school to pick him up, and she said he wasn't even there. And so, because I couldn't call her because of the order of protection. And so there was just that one time, and when I did drop my son, I want to make note of, Miss Brady saying that I dropped my son off in the back of the school. That was never a thing. And I've tried clearing the air on that since day one. And it was never in the back of the school. It was in the car rider line. And I know that she's been the primary custodian, but that's only because the false allegations of me being on drugs, they took away my custody, and I dropped my son off at school in the car rider lane and watched him go to the cafeteria. I watched him, and for that reason, I lost my custody. And I've been trying to get a discovery out of them for a very, very, very long time. I've had my discovery done last October, and they didn't turn theirs in until recently after filing for motion to compel, a bunch of motions. And I want Your Honor, sucked a lot of the money out of me. And that's why I'm here today by myself. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna take our mid-morning recess. When I come back, I'll give you my room.
All right.
I have considered all of the evidence in this case and the exhibits that have been made, and we'll make the following ruling. Clearly, in this case, the evidence warrants awarding Mrs. Butler an absolute divorce on the grounds of inappropriate marital conduct. Proof has been overwhelming that she has been subjected to physical and emotional abuse. The physical violence towards her clearly resulted in criminal charges against Mr. Butler, and I'll deal with some of that a little later. But she is awarded an absolute divorce. That leads me then to the adoption of a parenting plan. As Ms. Brady has gone through them, I'll not belabor them, but I have considered all of the factors set forth in Tennessee Code annotated 36-106 regarding the adoption of a parenting plan and designation of the primary residential parent. The first factor favors the mother, the strength, nature, and stability of the child's relationship with each parent. Clearly, Mrs. Butler has been the primary parent all along, but Mr. Butler's issues with having criminal charges against him and having supervised visitation currently are such that I cannot find that that factor is even equal. It must be attributed to the mother. Each parent or caregiver's past and potential future performance of parenting responsibilities. Again, I think that factor favors the mother. Mr. Butler had perhaps a good relationship and had been involved until he hit the last couple of years where it seems to have gone downhill pretty significantly. Refusal to attend a court-ordered parent education seminar. I don't have any evidence that either of them have completed, or both of them must complete it within 60 days, I think, under the parenting plan. They'll have to complete that and file notice of completion with the court. Disposition of each parent to provide the child with food, clothing, medical care. Mrs. Butler has been the primary person to do that. Mr. Butler has not been supporting the child since he left. And as a result of that, I find that favors the mother. Again, paragraph number 5, which parent has been the primary caregiver, found that to be in the favor of the mother. Love, affection, emotional ties existing between each parent and the child, I find that to be equal. I know that Mr. Butler loves his child, but under the circumstances, clearly his behavior and the things that he's been engaging in are the very reason that he finds himself separated from the child at this point. The emotional needs and developmental level of the child's been exposed to a lot of abuse in the family. You may not think that a child of this age would retain those things, or that it would impact them, but it clearly, in my opinion, creates memories for this child that will bear with it probably most of its life. The emotional needs and developmental life of the child favors the mother. Moral, physical, and emotional fitness of the parent. I have concerns, obviously, about Mrs. Butler staying in a situation or reuniting with Mr. Butler after some of the physical violence and things that occurred. But that's a common thing, unfortunately, in domestic violence cases. It's not unusual to have someone who's been a victim of a domestic violence case who would take back their abuser or submit to their abuser again over and over and over again without trying to get out, because they have reasons. They have logical reasons that they think justify them trying to overcome or think they can fix the situation. In any event, I do find that this favors the mother because clearly both in the history that has been testified to and the criminal cases that are pending and the court's observations of Mr. Butler are that this factor favors the mother. Child's interaction in a relationship with siblings, obviously I think there's been a good relationship between this child and the other children that Mr. Butler has, and I would like to see that continue. The importance of continuity in the child's life favors the mother clearly. Evidence of physical or emotional abuse to the child or the other parent, clearly that favors the mother because there is verified and absolute proof of physical abuse of Mrs. Butler by Mr. Butler. Character and behavior of any other person residing in the home, I don't have any other information about that. And as a result of that, I don't find any of the other factors that really weigh on my decision. So based on all of those, I found that those factors favor designating Mrs. Butler as the primary residential parent. So where are we then regarding his visitation? I know that there was a schedule that was in place before. However, I'm very concerned because I do this on a regular basis. Mr. Butler has his own probation for 2 years by his own testimony. By his own testimony, he has a pending violation of probation. That pending violation of probation might very well return him to or send him to prison for 2 years, or at least to jail for some period of time. And as a result of that, I am not in a position where I am comfortable with awarding him unsupervised visitation. In my opinion, I understand what he says about the situation, but it is, in my opinion, my job is to protect the best interests of the minor child. So I'm going to order that there be supervised visitation. He does not have to exercise it at the Eden if both parties can agree on an alternate supervisor, but it will be exercised under the supervision of another person. Miss Brady Wilkerson, you had indicated that there needed to be an adjustment because she was relocating. Is that correct?
Travel. So really,
Well, my inclination would be that we do it every other weekend, and we do it from Saturday at 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock and Sunday at 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. We'll have 2 full days with the children every other weekend, just not have overnight visitation at the moment. This schedule will stay in place until after, it'll be subject to review after Mr. Butler's criminal cases are resolved. But what I'm telling you, Mr. Butler, is this is right now being in supervised, continued supervision because you have pending criminal charges that could very easily upend your entire life. Once that has been resolved, you are free to apply to this court, and it doesn't require material change of circumstances. I am putting that in this order that allows you to come back to court for a review and possible revision of your visitation with the children once you get your criminal stuff worked out. Do you understand that? Now, obviously, at that point, you're probably going to be subject to drug testing again, and the probation department may be doing that to you anyway. But I'm giving you an opportunity to try to modify this and go back to something else once your criminal charges are resolved. At this point in time, we'll calculate his child support based on her income of $6,000 a month, which is testified to. And you've asked to impute income to him of $25 an hour. I do not find that right now that's verifiable, but the child support guidelines do provide for imputing income. I think for a male, it's $39,000 a year. So if just check the child support guidelines, I will impute it as, I think it shows you where how long it's been since I had to do it. But anyway, it'll be imputed on that basis rather than the $25 an hour. And again, that's subject to review once he's fully employed. He'll be given every other weekend, as a credit for days. So I'm going to recommend an order in this that the parent parties, I know there cannot be direct, one-on-one communication, but there's this parenting app that's out there that they can utilize. You can make him aware of the children. They can communicate through that. And that, in this court's opinion, will not constitute a violation of the order, no contact order. Ms. Brady is familiar with that. She can help you with that. As I said, this will be subject to a review and possible modification after you get the criminal stuff worked out. Now, how that happens between now and then depends on you. You've not had very good luck in getting yourself straightened out to stay away from getting arrested. And if you get arrested on something else, then that's going to make a difference as far as this court is concerned, what happens in the future. But that is the order regarding the she'll maintain the medical insurance and be entitled to a credit on the calculation for the medical insurance. There is a retroactive child support order that would have to be in place from the date of filing of the divorce until it goes down. And that'll have to be calculated. Moving then to the property division. That's part of the requirements of the child support guidelines. So yes, it will be included. Going to property division, the house, I think both parties were in agreement the house is going to have to be sold. So as a result, we'll sell the house. I'm going to order that the proceeds after payment of all of the debts be divided equally. However, any request for attorney's fees that Mrs. Butler has have to be deducted from the proceeds that Mr. Butler would otherwise receive for his share of that. I declined to order him to reimburse you for the payments you've made for the house. I know you were asking for $11,000 for his half of the house payments. You were living in the house for one thing, but I'm also going to offset your claim against his claim for your portion of your 401k proceeds. You'll be awarded those 401k proceeds, and that will offset any claim you have for him having to reimburse you for house payments. Each of them will be awarded the vehicles in their possession and be responsible for any debt on them. Each of them will pay the credit card debts in their name. She'll be awarded all the household goods, furniture, and furnishings that are located within the house. Anything he's acquired since the separation in the way of household goods, furniture, or furnishings that he's had to acquire, he'll be awarded all of that. I'm going to order that he be awarded his other children's clothes, toys, etc., personal items that those children had. He'll be awarded the sports equipment that he had mentioned that belongs to him. I'm also awarding him the toolboxes and tools and car lift. The reason I'm doing that is because obviously I'd like for him to get back to work as a diesel mechanic, and that needs to be done. He needs tools to be able to do that. My understanding is at least. Ms. Brady, you may submit your claim for attorney's fees for this court for review. Clearly, the law would allow that to be awarded, but as I said, it will have to be offset against the interest he has in the house. Mrs. Butler will be authorized to, on her sole authority, have the house listed with a realtor and go ahead and try to get it sold. She'll be able to negotiate all that, but that will be subject to the court approval for the sale of the house. That is the judgment of the court in this case, cost and tax to Mr. Butler. These that I don't want her to sell the house for next to nothing. I want, when she gets this offer to list the house and she needs to list it for the price recommended by the realtor. And then if you get an offer that's less than that, then she just needs to come back in front of any of the judges to get an approval of that with notice to Mr. Butler.
Then also, Your Honor, one last thing for the record is that the countersuit filed by Mr. Butler would be dismissed.
It is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, it's up to you as to how the future goes for you and your child. I hope that you'll make sure that you successfully defend this probation violation hearing, and you can come back down the road and try to get your residential time reinstated.
How do I get my stuff on the house?
Miss Brady will be, you'll have to get in touch with Miss Brady and arrange that, since you'll have to probably. Right, it'll have to be done with, probably a civil standby by law